Right now, let me introduce our first guest tonight. Max Hall is the winningest quarterback in BYU history. Won 32 games between 2007 and 2009, threw for over 11,000 yards and 94 touchdowns. Can you believe those numbers? 11,000 yards, 94 touchdowns. Most recently, he was the MVP of the BYU alumni football game that Blaine and I called on BYU TV through that Hail Mary pass to Brian Keel on the final play of the game. And in between those glorious moments, there have also been doses of cold reality in Max's life, which has now led him to this whole new phase of making a difference in such a positive way. And we're going to welcome Max live from Arizona to Wise Guys. There he is, Max. Thanks for joining us.
What's up, brother?
Hey, guys. How are two of my most favorite guys in the world, man? How are you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Seriously, how has your celebrity status skyrocketed since throwing that bomb to Brian Keel back in the spring?
I don't know if you guys knew this, but I'm kind of a big deal now. That kind of set me off right there. I didn't know I was the MVP either. No one told me.
Oh yeah,
that.
you were the MVP. Hey, Dave and I voted, so you knew you were going to be. Yeah, my favorite thing was let's face it, that's a made-for-TV event, which is really fun for fans and for all of us and for you guys, right? So, we were in the huddle with you. I don't know if you remember this, and Jerem is there with a mic in the huddle with you, and everybody's got all these ideas, and you keep saying, guys, listen, I'm just going to huck it. Like, that was the plan. I'm just going to drop back, and I'm just going to huck it. And they're all like, okay, I like this plan. Let's just huck it.
And I appreciated your honesty in your post-game interview where you said you may or may not have crossed the line of scrimmage. That was it may or may not have happened. But we're going to show that a little bit later on.
How fun was that to be back with the guys and be back here on campus, though? Was that great?
Oh, it was phenomenal. I mean, being like you said, on campus, back in the locker room. They gave us a ton of stuff from the equipment room. They just basically said, take whatever you want. The coolest part of it, though, was being back on the field. Even there was, I think there was like 8,000 people there at the game, but in that stadium, it doesn't feel like a lot, but just being back there on the field with those guys that I played with, and then all the great legends that were out there with us and getting to play against them was a lot of fun. So it brought back some great memories, but that was a fun night, man. I mean, I told him, I said, if you guys ever want me back to do this, let's do it again. But I'm right now going to put it out there, and I've already talked to him. I want Steve Young versus Ty Detmer next year.
Oh man,
that's what I want.
I'm gonna.
There's been some rumblings.
I got to catch up with Steve this week. I'm gonna have to start lobbying right now to get Steve out.
Both those guys have given soft commitments. You need to muscle Ty, and we'll have to get Steve there.
And Ty, and Max, you see Ty and you follow him a little bit. He's involved in a bunch of quarterback coaching. I know that you're coaching quarterbacks too. So Ty keeps his arm in pretty good shape because he's throwing a bunch of balls. Now, Steve's too busy like running private equity firms and broadcasting and doing all that. But I have to say, Steve stays in phenomenal shape. Steve takes a lot of pride and effort in staying fit. And so I think from a fitness perspective, at 60, Steve could come out and play. He absolutely could come out and play. I just don't know if he's got the arm like not like you guys have. And how about our boy Paul Peterson coming out there and just like throwing it
Even
around?
Federick threw better than I thought he was going to throw.
I thought it was a good showing for everybody. Like, the game was competitive, came down to the end, all that. But we do have a nickname around here for Coach Detmer. We call him the microwave. Because he's always warm. He's always hot. Always ready to go, man. We'll be out there throwing, and he'll be like, give me a ball, and he'll throw like an 18-yard comeback on the dot. And I'm just like,
unbelievable.
All right, Heisman. All right, I see you, buddy.
You know what's interesting is that it got publicity a little bit, and then as you mentioned, 8,000 people. But that thing, like, if you haven't seen it, if you're out there, watching this, or you're listening on a podcast later on, you could still go watch that on BYU TV. That's in the archive. People can watch it. You'd be amazed, Max, at how many people have gone and downloaded and watched that game now. And I think that if we hype it and they remember this year, we might get 20,000 in there next year, and that would be really fun.
That would be awesome. I thought BYU TV, the coaching staff, just everybody did a great job. You guys were there of putting on that event. Us alumni who played in it, we had a phenomenal time. It ended up being a great game. I don't think for the first time doing that, it could have gone any better.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to set up for I think we can get some of those guys to come in and play and set up for good events in the future. So,
at the Big 12 meetings, Steve Sarkisian was talking about your arm because he said he caught part of the game, and he goes, I can't chuck it like Max.
He's
and those
not like
guys.
Max and those guys anymore.
His arm's not.
Well, let's be honest. There's not very many people out there who can throw it like me. So let's not, it's okay, Steve. But that'd be fun to get him back for one.
Oh, he did say that when he's done coaching, if he's still fit, he'd consider it. He'd give it a thought. He said,
Good.
So that would be really, really fun.
Hey, Max, your story is intriguing. It is fascinating. It is heartbreaking. It is inspiring, especially where you are now. And let's tackle some of the things that you are involved with to make a difference in people's lives who are down a road that you had traveled. And as you'd mentioned freely and in a lot of your speeches, especially recently, injuries in football led to addictions. Addictions put you in a bad place, culminating with an arrest for shoplifting at a Best Buy store in Gilbert, Arizona on August 30th, 2014. Now, you're sitting in handcuffs in the back of a police car, and as you freely speak about, and I watched a clip the other night on YouTube, which I thought was incredible. This was the moment when the new Max Hall was born. What happened there?
I didn't think it at the time. At the time, I thought Max Hall was done. I thought life was pretty much over at that point. But it was the start of my sobriety, and the biggest thing about that is I look back on it and I say it might have actually been a blessing that I was arrested, because my secret was out and I had two choices. That was either lay down and die or fight and go get some help. And I was lucky to have people on my team, from family members to coaches to teammates, just a group of people that reached out and helped me get to a rehab facility and have helped me since. Not everybody has that, you guys. And so what I'm trying to do is be there and create a place and a team for those who need it, who don't have it. I went to a great rehab facility. When I got out of there, though, they said, hey, here's a couple AA meetings by your house. Good luck. And that was it. And I was miserable for a while until I got another team around me and had people I could talk to. So that's what we're going to focus on. Whether you go to a rehab or not, we want to focus on the long-term care. We want to teach you how to get sober and stay sober for the rest of your life and coach you through the whole thing and create a community, right? A community of guys who are going through the same thing that can rely on each other and be open and talk with each other about what's going on in their lives. So that's what we're trying to do: connect, community, and also kind of raise awareness and let people know it's not taboo anymore. Everybody has their issues. So many people are struggling with addiction. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to get help. And so that's really what we're trying to do at Victory Recovery. And in my situation, I have a story. I don't necessarily like my story. I don't like showing my mugshot. I don't like talk about being arrested. Like, that stuff makes me sick to my stomach when I talk about it. But if my story can help other people who are in the same situation, I'm willing to share it. And so I've been open and honest with it, which is not easy to do.
No.
And but if it gives hope to somebody else and I can help somebody, man, that's what I want to do. That's what it's all about, guys.
Yeah, Max, you mentioned Victory Recovery. So you and your buddy Brock Bevel started a substance abuse counseling center called Victory Recovery. What help does that facility provide?
Man, so we're going to specialize in substance abuse, so drugs, alcohol, stuff like that. But we're also going to treat people suffering from depression and anxiety, PTSD, sex addiction. I mean, we want to cover all of that. And right now, Brock and I are kind of the main coaches, but we also have 2 certified therapists that can actually do the diagnosing and dive into that. And then where we feel like what we're really good at is teaching you, showing you, giving you a plan, diving into you and turning your life around. You know, for me, I always thought, man, I want the old Max back. My wife used to say, I want the old Max back, right? The reality is that Max is gone. And I had to learn how to create a new world. I'm no longer Max Hall, the quarterback. I'm not Max Hall, the BYU quarterback, the Cardinal quarterback. That's not me anymore. That's what I was. So I had to create a new world for myself. I'm now Max, the coach, the mentor, the father, the husband, now a business owner, you know what I mean? As a coach and helping other people. So it's been fun to create this new setting, and I'm really trying to use it to help others. So that's what we're going to specialize in, man. If you're struggling with a pill addiction, or you're an alcoholic, and guys have good jobs and families and they just can't get over this stuff, we're here for you, and we can help you and show you the plan and show you the way and be part of our team. So that's really our main focus in what we're doing.
Max Hall is with us on the Wise Guys on this Tuesday. You've said that connection is the cure. That's kind of been a running theme with a lot of the presentations. What does that mean?
That means you can't get sober on your own. Like sobriety is not a stay inside myself, introvert type of a thing. Being sober is opening up to other people and talking to other people. And we believe as we create a community and connection, your odds of staying sober go way up. It really does if you have that team around you. So, I mean, I want it to be like, if you're with us for life, man. You can come in, you can be with us, you can come to our groups, you can come to our meetings, one-on-one sessions. You've got somebody to call, to talk to if you need it. Whatever you need, we're going to be there for you. And we want you to be with us for as long as you want and get the care that you need. We will, and obviously we're not turning anybody away. We want to help as many people as we can. So when we talk about connection is the cure, it's having events, having meetings, getting people together, talking about it, and creating a comfortable and a healthy place where people can be open about their problems and situations in life.
You had a great network around you. You mentioned with coaches and friends and mentors and lots of folks that were helping. But I know there's another part that's been really important to you. How important is your wife Mackenzie and the two kids been with all of this?
Whew, don't, you're gonna make me get emotional here. Don't do that. But my wife she's a rock star, man. She put up with my addiction for 5 years and suffered through that. I was lucky that my kids were young and they didn't really see me go through it. I mean, I still was around. I was there. I was a good dad, but I was just addicted, man. And it hurt her more than anybody. There's a quote. One of my favorite things about addiction is it says it takes the soul of the addict and it breaks the hearts of everybody who loves them. So addiction took my soul. Like, it made me a completely different person, and it broke the hearts of my wife, parents, friends, everybody. Like, I had to repair those relationships. But this is what Kenzie did. She worked on herself. And what happened is we had to each work on ourselves before we could come back together. And she learned a lot about addiction, codependency, depression, like all this stuff that she learned. And as we worked on each other, we became closer together. But to have a wife that stuck with me for 5 years of doing that, and then I'm in rehab and I'm thinking I thought she was going to leave me, guys. Yeah. I was like, she's out. Like, there's no way she's staying. And I remember I finally called her when I was in the rehab facility, and she goes, "Babe, I love you. I'm here to fight, and I'm with you. I'm glad you're in a safe place. Let's do this." And that was a big motivation in my recovery, having her there with me. I also understood that I couldn't just do it for her. I couldn't just do it for my kids. I had to get sober because that's what I wanted to do. That's who I wanted to be. And when I figured that out, things just started taking off. My relationships got better. I got a job here coaching at ALA. Just things have been opening up in my life. It's been amazing. But without her, would have been very, very hard to do, man. I love her to death. And for her to stick with me and go to battle with me, I mean, she's a warrior. So
yeah. She's earned her angel's wings. Like, it's a figure of speech, but she earned her angel's wings, right?
Me to heaven. She's going to drag me to heaven, fellas.
Max, I'm afraid we all outkicked our coverage. I think we know that, right?
That's true.
And our wives are going to drag us by the nostrils into heaven. That's for sure. So, and Mackenzie's no exception to that. She's phenomenal.
Speaking of connections, there's a connection now. You're back in football. You're the offensive coordinator. The head coach is Ty Detmer. How important has Ty been in your life as you've charged back into your life?
Man, So I remember a few years ago, kind of when everything came out, I knew Ty was in town, and I went to lunch with him, and I kind of opened up to him, And so I look at Ty as not just a colleague, but a close friend and a mentor. And I've learned a lot from him just in this past year that we've been coaching together, not only football stuff, but how to be a leader, how to treat the kids, how to manage parents, and just how to bring a certain culture to a team. And so watching him work has been phenomenal. But at the same time, man, it's fun to get on the board and be like, Ty, what do you think about this? Or how should we run this concept? And he gives me his input. And it's really cool because our philosophies, I feel like, are the same. Like we kind of have the same mindset and things. And so it's been really fun kind of scheming and game planning and doing stuff together. And then to his credit, he's like, hey, Max, you're the OC, man. This is still on you. You're still calling the plays. Like, I'm going to be the head coach. I'll help you game plan, but this is your show. So, I mean, it's been a fun dynamic to be with him, and just, we have a blast at practice and being around the kids and throwing the ball and talking a little trash. And, you know, you named off all my stats earlier, right? Well, I'm like second to Ty in most of those stats. Right?
Well, most people are, though, right, Max? Most people are second to Ty.
But I always go back to, wait a second, Ty. How many games did you win?
Exactly.
Wait a second.
You'll always.
So wait, are you telling me, Max, that when you're calling play, Ty never walks down and goes, hey, Max, what do you think about this? Does he intervene ever, or how does that work?
He doesn't intervene in the way like, hey, you need to run this play, or you need to run the ball, or you need to do this. What he does is, in between series or whatever, he might come up to me and be like, hey, I think we can get this, or this play is there, or this, or hey, just a reminder, let's get a double move, or let's go a hard count, or just little reminders and stuff like that. He's really good at. Just obviously has so much experience playing football, helping manage the clock, do stuff like that. But he doesn't tell me what to do. He's just like, we just work together and talk about it. And so it's, like I said, it's a great relationship. It's a lot of fun having him around.
Maybe his perspective was developed after all those play calls he changed in the huddle that Norm Chow sent in.
Oh, he and Norm used to get, like, sometimes they go at it, he and Norm. Like, they would just disagree with stuff.
He's like, I know what that's like. I'm just going to stay away from that.
I felt like it was good that Norm was up in the booth, because you would see Ty and him kind of talking quite seriously on the phone, the old phone, you know, and Ty, like, people would go, who's he talking to? I go, oh, he's talking to Norm right now. So, and they would kind of discuss things for sure. And Ty definitely had his opinion. When I think of BYU quarterbacks and I think of competitors, the two of you come right to the top of my mind together. And I feel like it's really cool that two of the most competitive guys I've ever seen on the field coach together now at the high school level. I think it's just awesome.
Dude, it's a blast. And the kids don't even realize how good they have it. You know what I mean? They don't even understand. It's kind of funny. A lot of the kids, when Ty came on, I'm like, do you even know who that is? And they're like, no, they're too young to know. Like, I'm not trying to call Ty old now. Don't
I get it.
But I'm like, dude, we have a Heisman Trophy winner over there who's our head coach, who played 16 years in the league, won a Heisman Trophy. The dude is just a football legend. And so having him around, both us as coaches and the kids, we're super blessed to have a guy like that around. Plus, you guys know Ty, he's salt of the earth. He's one of the best dudes you will ever be around and meet. Doesn't matter that he won a Heisman Trophy. Doesn't matter if you're a freshman football player or a parent or whatever. He's just an all around great dude. And so, like I said, he's just a good guy to have around a program, and especially to be the head coach.
He is one of the best guys to hang with ever. I was going to ask you, we were talking about competition a little bit. So Bronco told this story one time. I want to see if this is like, if he's made this up or if this is true.
Okay.
You were a sophomore, he says, and I can't remember the game, but evidently it went something like this. You took the team down, scored quick, and then the other team scored. And then you took them down, scored again, and then the other team scored. Then you took them down again and scored. And on your way past him, you said, hey, coach, is the defense ever going to get a stop tonight?
Is that true?
And Bronco says that his first thought was, you little punk, like you little sophomore punk. And he was ready to step over and get in your face. And then he thought, no, I kind of like that in my guy. I think I'm okay with that. I like that fight. And then they got some stops and you won the game. Do you remember that story? Because he's told that story before.
Listen, that's one of 100 stories we probably have together. I don't remember that specific moment or game, but I'm dang sure that I probably said that to him. I mean, we had a great relationship, and, you know, even in practice and all that. And I remember when my first year there, when I'm running the scout team, man, it was competitive and it was physical and there were fights. And I think he always appreciated and liked the drive and competitiveness that I had. And I think he was built the same way. So we could banter and we could do things like that. And at the end of the day, we put our arms around each other and know that we're teammates or coaches or whatever. So that story's probably true, Blaine. Even though I don't remember the exact moment, it sounds definitely like something
I can't. He told us a number of years ago, and I was telling Dave about it, and I was just like, I wish I could remember the team. I just remember talking to Bronco about that, and about him saying at first he was questioning it, and then when he thought about it more deeply, he was like, no, that's exactly how I want my quarterback to be. That's the guy I want running my team. And you were just a sophomore at the time, so.
A story like that has to be true.
If the offense wasn't scoring, I'd probably be coming off the field after a punt being like, Coach, don't worry, we're going to score next series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's how you got to be.
Hey, Coach, is the defense going to get a stop today or what? Or do I got to score 100? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
just stuff like that all the time. It's just kind of how we were and just had a blast playing the game, man.
Our live streamers have some questions. BYU Boy says, Max, who's the greatest wide receiver in BYU history and why is it Austin Collie? So they're asking a question and answering it.
It's Austin Collie because he was my dude, man. Yeah. He was my guy. And he's one of those receivers where it's like, hey, it's 3rd and 5. We got to get the ball to Austin. Like, he's going to make a play. But here's what's great about it. I still had Dennis. I still had Andrew George. I still had Harvey. Like, we had so many weapons. So they couldn't focus on Austin. And if you leave Austin one-on-one, he's going to win. He's going to win 9 out of 10 times. Like, that's just the fact of the matter, right? So I was lucky I got to play with him. I think that BYU Throwbacks put a clip up of him making a play versus Utah State, coming back to the ball. But yeah, he was detailed. He was tough. If the ball was in the air, it was his. And those are the type of guys you want to throw the ball to, man. Those guys make you look good. So I was blessed to play with the guys I had. But yes, to answer your question, AC, my man, he's the number one dude.
I submit, Max, that if Austin stays healthy and doesn't have the concussion issues, that he probably plays in a couple of Pro Bowls before it's all said and done. When he was at Indianapolis, he was on that type of a pace. Am I wrong, or did he have that skill level?
No, I think you're right. I think he was built. I think he had a great situation with Peyton and the Colts, and he was built for that. And you know, it's like a lot of us. We have injuries, and our career just doesn't go where we think it's going to go. But potentially, I mean, absolutely, I could have seen him as a Pro Bowl guy if he'd have stayed healthy.
All right, let's play a game, Max. We call it Moments to the Max.
Okay.
So you've got over 11,000 yards passing and 94 touchdowns. We've come up with 6 plays that we think were your best, and then we want you to rank them 1 through 6.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll present it not necessarily in that order, and you can say that's my number 1.
Are we
going to
give him? Are we going to give him all? Well, no, we're just going to give it to him, and he's going to say that's or do we have to give them all to him?
Let's just give him. We'll just go 1 through 6, and you can say that's number 1. Some might be obvious, some might not be. Summer moments.
This is the beauty of a live stream, Max. Like when you come on Sports Nation and stuff with us, it's all like, oh,
you can't do that.
You got to be done in 22 seconds. When we do the live stream and we just do whatever we want, we can even figure it out on the fly, which is great.
I love it.
It's just us 3 just hanging out. Nobody even knows.
And
so
moments to the max sounds like a cool segment, no matter what direction it goes.
Exactly right. So.
All right, number 1. Blaine, go ahead.
Okay, so 2007, BYU 17, Utah 10. You hit Austin Collie on that 4th and 18 on a game-winning drive. So
yeah. Where's that rank among your top 6?
Where do you think that's going to rank before it's all said and done?
I think that's going to be 3 or 4.
Wow.
3.
Wow. I did not see that coming.
No, I didn't see that. That was right.
I thought that was shooting right to number 1.
That was right out of there, man. Okay.
Let me tell you what, though, real quick about that play before we move on. Since we got time.
We got as much time as you want.
I remember those 4 downs vividly, right? It was incompletion, I think, and I can't remember if it was 2nd or 3rd down where it was the sack fumble, right? Which took us to 4th and 18. I remember looking to the sideline, and bless Coach and I's heart, but he just had his arms folded, and I'm like, what play are we going to run? And he just gave me a fist, which in our system, that meant to go route. That's all he gave me. So I'm like, whatever, I got it. So we called 3-by-1. I called 4 verts, gave Austin a stutter and go on the outside. How it worked out, though, is right as I stepped up in the pocket to avoid the defensive end, Austin kind of sat down on his stutter, and the corner's eyes went off Austin and to me because I was getting out of the pocket.
Dirty eyes.
He just forgot Austin. Now, I had I had a separated shoulder in that game. I'd separated it the week before versus Wyoming. grade 3 AC separation. So I could barely throw the ball. No one knew this. I could barely throw the ball 40 yards. So it was everything I had to throw that ball. That's why I underthrew it. Like he had to kind of wait on it. It was everything I had. But
now, Max, before you finish this story, when you saw Max wide open, what in the world did you think about?
Austin wide open.
When did you see Austin wide open? What flashed through your mind?
I hope I can get it there.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Okay. So now keep going.
He's wide open. I'm hoping I can get it there. And but when he caught that, I will say this about that moment. That is the loudest I had ever heard Lavelle Edwards Stadium. It was like the whole stadium felt like it was pulsing to me. It almost like I was surrounded by big speakers just blasting. I couldn't hear it, just the emotion in the moment. Like I will never forget what that felt like and how loud it was in that stadium, man. It was phenomenal. It changed the whole mood. And then, we got a couple PI calls that were helped us out in that drive. And then Harvey ran the dude over in the end zone, and that's that. So
we're gonna have Harvey.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal moment.
And we should clarify, we're not just doing play. We're actually, these are Max's moments.
Moments to the
So
max.
they're not individual. That one was an individual play, but it's really the whole moment. And you've described it perfectly, like how it felt. So that's a moment. You're going to put that maybe number 3. We're going to see as we roll these others out. Dave, you got to do the next one.
2008, you beat UCLA 59-0. Set a stadium record 7 touchdown passes, including 6 in the first half. Where does that rank in the top 6? UCLA.
Next. I know what my top 2 are, so it's got to be 4.
Okay.
Did you remember that one? Did you remember that one?
Dude, how do you not forget a day like that?
Yeah.
We were all just in the zone in that game. The defense, it was just like, we get the ball, score, they get the ball, turnover, we get the ball, score. It was just like back and forth the whole time, and we just had a day. And, I joked all the time when I was playing, I'd always yell and be like, I'm on point today. Y'all can't stop me, stuff like that. We were on point that day. And everything went right for us. It was one of the most fun football games I have ever played in, especially with all the trash talk leading up to the game. Yeah. We barely beat them in the bowl game the year before by that blocked field goal, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came in thinking they were going to show us up, and for us to just dominate the game like that. I mean, fun day of football right there. That's one I'll never forget. But
I remember working that game and thinking, what in the world is going on right now? Like this is a massacre. This was so unexpected.
And I was mad that I didn't get to play in the second half, because I wanted that. I didn't know it at the time, but if I could have thrown one more touchdown, I'd have broken. Instead of tying the record, I'd have broken it. Yeah. Instead, they let Brendan Gaskins throw it. But to be honest with you, I'd rather Brendan throw it and get him one than me break the record. He deserved it.
Was that John Walsh's record? I think it was Walsh that had that record. Right?
Walsh and McMahon.
Yeah. Yep. Jimmy Mack, my old teammate.
Max Hall, the great BYU quarterback's on with us on the Wise Guys tonight. And this next one, we're going up a notch.
So wait, I gotta write these. So that Utah's 3 and UCLA is 4 for now.
For now. It could fluctuate.
Okay. So the next one, 2009. And I know this is going to be in your top 2. So BYU 14, number 3 Oklahoma 13. The moment I remember is that late drive and the touchdown pass to McKay Jacobson. But that whole moment, I was there on the field with you guys for that one. What's your thought? Where's that one going to be?
I just vividly remember them all crashing down on Dennis and just seeing McKay pop wide open over the top. But that play was special, but you got to realize how special the drive was. We had battled that whole game. It was close. But we went to 2-minute mode, and I got to call the plays in 2-minute mode.
Oh, good.
So we just kind of got in a rhythm. You know what I mean? And we completed a couple balls. We had that one to Dennis. Then it came down to that 4th down call, and Coach and I right away knew what play we were going to do. We called it Niner, little sprint out play, got the ball to Dennis again. He got us down to the 10, and then we were able to score. So the moment of the drive to go beat number 3 Oklahoma on ESPN in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, first game ever played in the stadium. That's what that moment was all about. And then to see our little sliver of BYU fans going nuts and the sea of Oklahoma fans just silent was pretty cool. The other thing it's a good dang thing that we won that game, because I went in at halftime screaming at the cameras that we were going to win. So.
You know what? One of our followers that sticks with us and makes comments. BYU, it's called BYU Boys 716. That's his handle. He says, Max Hall going into halftime in that game saying we're going to win is my favorite thing about that game. He commented on that before you said it. So people remember. It was genuine. I just felt like we had momentum. We were right there with them. The defense was playing phenomenal. We were getting goal line stops and turnovers, and definitely a team effort. But for me personally, the drive and then the pass at the end, and then the defense held them. They tried to kick a field goal, came up way short. And I just remember all that hard work in the offseason, all that game film study. I mean, I'm talking back in February. I'm sitting in bed at night watching Oklahoma film, like just preparing for that game, and for us to win it. It was just emotional. You know what I mean? It was just like, not a sigh of relief, just of joy of all that hard work paying off. So that moment, that's why it's in my top 2.
All right. Moments to the max, 3 down, 3 to go. This next one I have a feeling is going to go right to the top.
Yeah, I think so too. So right now we've got Utah 2007 is 3. Mm-hmm. BYU massacring UCLA in 08 is 4. We've got the Oklahoma last drive and the win down in Jerry Jonesville as number 2. So here's another one.
And you know what? I'm going to hop over this one to the next one, then we'll come back.
Oh, we're going to come back to that one? Okay.
2009, it was the windiest night ever at the Las Vegas Bowl. I had all my kids there. Oregon State comes in ranked number 18, and you run right over them 44-20. I thought you played great in that game. Where does this one sit?
I hated that game. It was freezing cold in that game, man. I remember the wind blowing. It was like 40 degrees outside with 40 miles, not 40 degrees. It was probably like 50 degrees, but with the wind, it was freezing. All I could remember is getting off the field and wanting to go sit by the heater. But we pulled through. We played great. And I have a great story in that game of when we were going down on one of the drives. I tried to step up in the pocket and make a throw, and I got blasted. And I still got back issues because of that hit. But I remember taking that hit. I had partially torn my MCL on that play. I had a kind of a cracked rib, and there was blood coming out of my mouth.
Oh no.
So I'm like, when I stand up, I'm coughing. I got blood coming out of my mouth. I'm all jacked up. And I kind of get up, and I always prided myself on getting up fast, right? And I look to the sideline, and Coach Doma's like this, and he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Shut up and give me the next play. Like, let's go," right? Like, I didn't want to hear that. And the next play we called 95, which is, F option with the tight end over. Mm-hmm. And Dennis, it was cover 2. Dennis went right down the middle, wide open. We completed it for a touchdown, and talked a little trash to Doman off the field. Like, don't you ever doubt me or think that I'm hurt. You know what I mean? Like, just how we were. But that was a great game, but it's going to be up there either 5 or 6.
Okay.
I don't know what the other 2 are yet.
Well,
one of them is.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to skip to another one, because we're going to come back to the one that we think is your one. So I'm going to skip. This is one more. Then we're going to come back to the one that we think is your one. Maybe you'll surprise us, and it won't be.
This could surprise us.
But 2021 BYU Navy team against the BYU Royal team, a Hail Mary 55-yard touchdown pass to none other than Brian Keel.
Think about it.
Yeah, this is big. It's
big. And you know what? As I'm thinking about it, I do know that it would be number 1 on Brian Keel's list.
Yes, it would.
For sure.
He's never caught a touchdown other than that.
No. And he just enjoyed that moment after the game, didn't he?
Oh, he did.
He even took my ball home. I brought my own ball to the game. And he kept it as a trophy.
Nice.
So I said, Brian, you can keep it as long as I sign it and you put it in your trophy case. You know what I mean? Like,
it's hard for him. The best athlete in their whole family is his wife, Jess, and that's, he just can't deal with it. So when he finally caught a pass and did something skilled, he didn't know what to make of it.
He didn't know what to do. The moment was big for him. So we let him enjoy it. So guys, as much as I loved that moment and being back, it doesn't compare to real games. So it's going to be
number 6.
We threw that one in there for fun.
Yeah.
We threw that one.
But
in there
I appreciate you throwing that one in there, because that was a lot of fun.
So we come back to the one that Dave and I think is number 1.
2009, you're in overtime against Utah. They're ranked number 21. You guys are fighting for the title, and you throw a touchdown to Andrew George, who's one of the funnest interviews around, and you win the game and you move on.
I'm driving around. People have bumper stickers that say "honk" if you've intercepted Max Hall.
Oh,
I drive
no.
by an Arby's.
Oh,
It says, "Hey, we have Max Hall apple turnovers at Arby's." You know what I mean? Like,
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember even being at a Dick's Sporting Goods, and a guy came up to me, and I signed some stuff for his kids, took some pictures, and he goes, "Hey, you know we wear blue jerseys, right?" And I'm like, "Dang, man! Like
That's
everywhere I went, I was just catching
Oh.
heat for this." So that's why that moment was awesome. That's why I went off in the press conference afterwards, the whole thing. But for me, everything that happened in the offseason, the Oklahoma win, and then finishing off, the regular season with the Utah win, just kind of sealed a great senior year for me and a great career at BYU. So definitely number one.
Awesome. That is awesome. People ask me about the Utah win last year, Max, and I tell them, you don't understand how big it is because we don't play them for like 3 years. For Utah to have to sit on that for the next couple of years, that's huge, isn't it? I feel like that's the worst thing ever to not be able to play again next year for them that they lost.
It gives our fans a little bit of ammo, with the trash talk between the BYU and Utah fans for sure. And, Utah will always bring back that they beat us. What was it? 9-10 years in a row or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But for us to pull through, and it's just, the whole thing was funny. Me being at the game, breaking the curse, having another Hall at quarterback, like just the whole thing was just kind of entertaining. And so I just said, look, if I'm going to show up and run the flag out, we might as well win. So
I love it.
I told Jaron, I was like, dude, let's go, man. It's our time. And to his credit, man, he balled out. The team looked great. Fun game to be a part of. So
you know these quarterbacks well. What's your thoughts? Jaron coming into his junior year, he's got a year under his belt where he played really smart football. Your thoughts on Jaron, and we also know that you've worked with Jacob in the past. And so I'm interested to hear your thoughts on both of these guys.
So I love Jaron. I think he's a special talent. I think he's smart, makes good decisions. I think he's a great leader. We expect big things out of him this year. He's got a year under his belt. He's got a good supporting cast around him, and we expect him to perform. And I think I said this to somebody the other day, I can't remember, but two things with him is consistency. Like he's got to perform week in and week out. He's got to perform in practice every day. And like what everybody says, he's got to stay healthy. And if he can do those two things to where he's consistently practicing and playing every week and not having to sit out, I think that's a big deal for a quarterback continuing to get the reps. So if he does that, I think he's going to have a great year. And I think BYU is going to have a great year. As the QB goes, the team goes. We've heard that before. And so Jaron needs to step into that role as a leader, be consistent, and stay healthy, whatever that looks like, right? Going to Jacob, I love Jacob Conover. I really do. I got to watch him play high school football here in Arizona for Chandler High School. I've always been a fan of the kid. And then after his mission, he called me up and wanted to throw and do some training together whenever he's back in town in Arizona. This is what I like about him. Yes, he can throw the ball. You know what I mean? He looks pretty throwing the ball. He's got a rocket arm, all that stuff. But he has some of the intangibles, man. Like he's bright-eyed. When he comes out with my guys, he coaches them up. Like he doesn't care if you're an 8th grader, a senior, or a college kid. He's coaching you up. He's got an energy about him that's contagious. And he's a big-time competitor, which I like. So I think Jacob has potential to be a very good quarterback and potentially the next guy here at BYU. And I'm rooting for him. But in the meantime, I think Jaron Hall is the dude, and he's the leader. And I'm excited to see how he steps into that role and what he does this year. But I love watching him play, guys. Like I love watching Jaron play. He's fun to watch.
We're going to see him play here at camp in a week, and then South Florida on September 3rd, and a great schedule for what might be his last season before he goes to the pros and BYU goes to the Big 12. 5 questions for Max. Here we go. You ready? Favorite movie?
Oh, favorite movie?
Yeah, we ask everybody these 5 questions because Scott Warner, the CEO of Gig, came on and
he told us we should.
He told us he goes, to get to know people, like, and he's a big social media guru. He's like, you need to ask everybody these 5 questions. So we've incorporated it into our show now. We're doing it every week.
Favorite movie?
Oh, shoot. This is going to sound weird. Braveheart.
No, hey, Gavin, you know my son Gavin,
I know
Gavin would agree with you on that one. He
Braveheart.
loves
Why
that
is
one.
that weird? What's weird about Braveheart?
It's not weird.
It's
Like
just old, but I used to watch it like the night before games and stuff. I don't know why.
Okay.
We get
William
a lot.
Wallace just fired me up.
We get a lot of Remember the Titans, but Braveheart is right up there.
Braveheart, right? Favorite cereal?
Favorite cereal? Peanut butter Captain Crunch.
Yes.
Interesting.
No, that's really good. That's a good one. We had a cereal taste off a couple of weeks ago on the show. and we forgot about peanut butter Captain Crunch. I like that. The elephant was the mascot for that.
Really?
Yeah.
I just like my Captain Crunch straight. So no crunch berries.
You like it straight up?
No, it's just
butter.
like he said to us, my favorite's Captain Crunch. And Scott and I go, without the crunch berries? Like, what are you talking about?
I didn't stutter. I
What's
went
wrong?
right.
What's
Captain
wrong
Crunch.
with you, right?
Captain
So-
Crunch. All right, favorite band.
Favorite band? Who's your favorite band? I got my QB sitting in here with me now, so I'm asking him.
Yeah, that's
I'm not
good.
Be a
big, like,
generation
band
Oh,
guy.
he's gonna tell
What do
you.
you mean?
like,
You listen to
So
music?
Can I say one of my favorite guys to listen to is Eminem. I love Eminem.
Eminem, that dude's
That's my dude.
unbelievably talented. Unbelievably
Yeah, that
talented.
qualifies. Favorite NFL quarterback
Currently or ever?
Ever.
Brett Favre.
Nice. And what about now? Currently in the league.
The guy, I mean, Tom Brady's Tom Brady. I always want to watch him, but I'm always trying to watch Josh Allen. I love watching that dude play.
Josh Allen.
He's special.
All right, last one. 5 questions for Max. Your favorite BYU quarterback not named Max Hall.
Ooh.
Oh,
This
man.
is hard. He asked me this
Ready?
and I won't answer because I alienate people that I love.
Now,
So
Ty
that's-
might
ready?
watch
But-
some of this later. Just know that. But, yeah, we're ready.
I have 2. Can I say 2?
Yeah, we're gonna let you
Please.
do too.
Yeah,
Number 1, Ty Detmer.
Sweet.
that's a business
2.
move right there.
Brendan Gaskins.
Oh yes.
That is my boy.
Brandon
He
Gaskins.
was with me my whole career, man. I
Yep.
love Brendan.
He's awesome.
Brendan Gaskins and Ty Detmer. All right, Harvey, I'm
I
just going to.
can't say other than Ty, he'll get all butt hurt. So
I know that's
I
exactly.
know.
We knew Ty was going to have
Plus,
to
you
be
got
in
to
there.
deal with him at practice.
We're not sure you're convicted with that or believe that, but we know that you had to say
McMahon
that.
might have something to say, but we get it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
get
I
it.
love Jimmy too. I mean, that's a hard decision. So all of them were great.
Hey, last question for you. Harvey's going to join us a bit later. How important was he at running back to what you got done?
Poof. Man, Harvey, I loved him and hated him at the same time. I mean, because he was just so loosey-goosey, right? And then when it was time for the game, he just like flipped this switch. But even in the game, I'd call a play and it'd be a play that we ran 1,000 times. And he would come up to me and be like, Max, what do I do? What do I do on this play? Just like to mess with me in the middle of games and stuff, right? Like he just kind of kept it that way. But one of my favorite things about playing at BYU was handing him the ball and watching him run. I mean, the guy was just fun to watch. And I'll tell you a story about him. The one time that he wasn't loosey-goosey was I remember we're on the bus driving to the game at Wyoming. And Wyoming had a linebacker at the time. I can't remember his name, but he was like leading the league in tackles and he was a big time name. Well, apparently that linebacker said something before the game.
Oh no.
And so Harvey is on the bus mad. And I've never seen him like that on the bus. He's mad. And I'm like, dude, are you okay? He's like, I'm fine. Like, I'm good. And I finally was like, talk to him enough. I'm like, what is going on? And he's just like, I'm going to kill that linebacker today. And I was like, oh, okay. So what happened is every time we ran the ball, it didn't matter which way the run was going to go. He took off towards that linebacker and he just kept hitting him and hitting him. And then we would hit him and then we would get all over him. Like everybody, the other running backs, the line would just be like talking trash to this dude. I am not joking you. In the second quarter, he had tears coming down his eyes. I could see it as I'm at the line of scrimmage. This linebacker had tears. He was so upset and he was getting so beat up. He could not tackle Harvey. And Harvey would just kept pounding it. And that's just the type of dude he was, man. Like he would just
Relentless.
don't cross him. You know what I mean?
Relentless.
Like
Don't
he
poke
will
the
give it
bear,
to
right?
you. Yeah, so that's one of many fun stories I have about Harvey. But
Oh,
That's
that's
great.
awesome. See, Max,
yeah,
the
bring
difference
that
between
up.
Max and me is like Harvey was joking when he said, what do I do? I played with a couple of guys that Mike Holmgren would send the play in or I'd run over and he would say, hey, listen, I need to go. Hey, and don't forget such and such is in the game. So you got to tell him what direction to go. And so I come up to the line, Max, I'd see a front, they'd be an over, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to check to strong here. So I'd check the strong, and I'd think, oh, crap, such and such is in the game. I would turn around, and I go, hey, dude, you're not getting the ball now. Now you're lead blocking. You got to go to the right. And I'd go get back on the center and go, oh, yeah, and don't forget it's on one. Like at the line of scrimmage. So, and they weren't joking. So.
Max Hall's Counseling Center, Victory Recovery. Search for it if you need some help. And Max, tell that quarterback sitting across from you, one, we're sorry we took you too long tonight. And two, someday if he's really, really good, he can be on a show called The Wise Guys.
Right here. Everybody say hi to Drew Cowart. Here's my guy right
here.
Hey, Drew.
We were watching film before the podcast started, so I said, why don't you hang out in here? So this is my dude right here.
Drew,
That's awesome.
what's the over-under for American Leadership Academy and wins this season?
We're winning them all 10-0.
10-0.
Championship.
Now you're sounding like your coach. Because that's what that's how he approached every season.
Drew, let me ask you
both
this.
of your coaches.
And we don't think this is any kind of violation. But do you realize that you're sitting next to Max Hall and Ty Detmer is the other offensive fluence in your life? Do you realize how lucky you are?
Yeah. Don't let him fool you. He's not all that.
Listen, Drew, he is all that.
Two of the best college quarterbacks in the history of the game. You're pretty fortunate, brother.
Yeah.
So
he's a good one, guys. He's doing a great job. So it's fun having Ty, because when I get really mad at him, I can just be like, Ty, you talk.
I can see that.
Drew,
he's doing a great job. So.
Listen to both of them. And Max, thanks for your time tonight.
Max,
we look forward to doing it again.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We love this format when we can just visit with you. Three guys just talking football and talking life. And you're doing great things in both. We're proud of you.
Thank you, guys, man. Anytime you guys want me on, if there's anybody out there who needs help, go to our Instagram. It's Victory Recovery AZ. You can DM us on there. We can set up a meeting. If you live in Utah or something, we can set up a Zoom meeting. We can do whatever we can to help. So we're just looking to save lives, man. So if you have a loved one, a friend, anybody who needs help, please reach out to us, and we can do our best. But thank you guys for having us on, talking about it. I always love talking ball too. So anytime, you guys, I'm here.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks, Max.
Max Hall, one of the greats at BYU. 11,000 yards.
Yeah.
You know how many yards that is? Ty threw for 16. So between those two, they threw for 2,700 yards.
Yeah. And
27,000 yards.
Competitors like you can't. And it's funny, when I was telling him that Bronco story that Bronco had related to me, he's like, I don't remember that specifically, but absolutely that probably happened, because he knew that's the kind of interaction that he would have. Just telling Bronco, hey, you think you guys might stop somebody here before the afternoon is over?
We had some classic stories from the great Max Hall.
So good. And you know what? Like how cool are the things, and how important are the things that Max is doing right now to help people? And we love to see that. And
I'll be honest, I was in Las Vegas working when the story broke of his troubles. I believe I was in Vegas still at that time, and was stunned. You know, in the mugshot says BYU football on his T-shirt, and it's like, what happened? And now that we know what happened, the true triumph is what happened next.
Right.
And this is Max that's happened next.
Because what's happened next is what's really important, right? It's not getting knocked down. It's having the guts and the fact that he's just out there with this story and not ashamed. He's not proud of what his past is, but he realizes that other people can be helped because of it. Yeah. And so he's like, it's got to be told. He doesn't love having to tell people what he went through, but he realizes it can help people, so he's out there doing that. That's unbelievable.
And people have been through a divorce. I've been through a divorce, and there are things you don't like to talk about, but when you do talk about it, people can get help. People have lost loved ones, and those who go through that experience can turn around and be a strength to someone who's going through that, or through a terminal illness. We're all in this thing together, and none of us are perfect. And we get to help each other, and Max is a great example of somebody doing that.
So Mike Z, just me, chimed in and said, "Hey Max, what you've been doing lately is one of the best services any former BYU athlete has done," and I agree with that. It's pretty cool.